Time to talk about a film I kind of forgot existed. Here are 19 reasons to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Jaeden Martell and this is the place where I talk to you about all things Stephen King. I also talk to you about horror movies in my Silver Scream section, and I recommend great books to you in my book club. But this video is a Stephen King one, and we are continuing our walk through the movies and adaptations of Stephen King's works. We're still in 2022 and we're up to the Netflix adaptation of Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which is a feature film based on the novella of the same name that was collected in If It Bleeds in 2020. This movie stars Jaeden Martell, who you might recognise from the It movies, and Donald Sutherland in what was his final feature film before his death. But how does it stack up? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video, because I'm going to give you 19 reasons to go and watch it. Now, if you're worried about potential spoilers, don't be. There might be things that will ruin a first time watch, but I will hide those behind a spoiler alert so you can skip to the end if you need to dodge those things. Now, if you want to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone, it's a Netflix film, so it's on Netflix. So you need to go to Netflix. There are definitely no other ways of finding Netflix only content on the internet. Definitely not. Anyway, let's go. Here are 19 reasons to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone. So what's the headline reason to watch this? Well, it's kind of interesting. It's like a masterclass in perfectly competent yet thoroughly unmoving filmmaking. Like, everything here is good and it's suitably engaging for its 1 hour and 3/4 runtime. But it's also incredibly mid-tier. So yeah, hardly the greatest selling point, but kind of interesting, just being so competently middle of the line. You know, in many ways, this is an interesting film because I think it actually works better if you don't know the novella. Like, having read the story, for me the story has a lot more dread, a lot more looming threat, just a lot more atmosphere to it, and a lot more depth to it than this movie gets across. Whereas actually, if I picture myself watching this movie having not read the story, I think I'd probably lose myself in it just a bit more. But as a constant reader, I'm just left feeling a little bit kind of meh about the whole thing. So if you haven't read the novella yet, obviously watching the film will spoil the story, but I would actually watch the film first. It's a rarity, but there you go.
Horror. The horror.
Now, the problem with this one is if you go in expecting it to be something scary, because it's not scary. However, it does work well as a kind of sad coming-of-age story with a little bit of a supernatural thriller twist. What is scary about this film is pitching something in 2003 and then the original iPhone, both as being like these historical things, like a film starting in 2003 being a historical piece and the iPhone being a historical artifact. Like, fuck off. 2003 was only, 5 years ago, right? So going back to the not scary thing, it's kind of surprising that Blumhouse picked this one up in July 2020, which they did, and they made it. Like, again, it's another thing that almost tricks your brain. You see the Blumhouse ident at the start and you think, okay, we're in for a horror film here. And it's not a horror film. So just temper those expectations when you go in. So what's the story here? Well, it's kind of the same as the novella. We get this rich old man, John Harrigan, who retires to a tiny little Maine town and hires local kid Craig Pooley to come and read to him a few times a week. And they build up a relationship over a few years. Harrigan gives Pooley a scratch card 4 times a year for his birthday, for Christmas, for Valentine's Day and for Thanksgiving. And one of their scratch cards wins big. Craig wins like $3,000 and he buys himself his first iPhone. No, he doesn't. His dad gives him an iPhone for Christmas. He buys Mr. Harrigan an iPhone with some of that money because he feels like Harrigan would really benefit from it. He'd enjoy being able to read the news and check the stocks and all of that kind of thing. And they bond over this phone. But then ultimately, Mr. Harrigan dies and Craig slips the phone into Mr. Harrigan's suit before he's buried. And then we discover that those two phones continue to be linked. long after Harrigan is in the ground, which proves really useful for dealing with bullies and miscarriages of justice. This film was shot in Connecticut over a couple of months at the end of 2021, and yeah, it looks nice. It's very competent, again, photography. It kind of ticks all of the slightly bleak drama boxes that you would expect from a well put together film in this genre. So there are some noteworthy performances in this movie that we should talk about. First up, Jaeden Martell in our lead role as Craig. So you remember him from the It movies. He was young Bill, and he basically picks up that young Bill character just a few years on. He's eminently likeable. He's just this endearing sad boy, and it works. Kirby Howell-Baptiste as Miss Hart is really good, but kind of criminally underused here. Donald Sutherland as John Harrigan gives a genuinely great performance here, full of gravitas. And I think the fact that we see Harrigan's character die on screen, and then knowing that this was Sutherland's final feature film before he died, it definitely adds some weight to it. However, my favourite is Cyrus Arnold as the bully Kenny Yankovic, who gives this incredibly nuanced and complex performance that gets across this bully as being scary and dangerous, but also kind of quite clearly neurodivergent and in a lot of pain and wanting acceptance almost. It's this incredible performance that you just wouldn't expect from such a mid-tier film. Like I say, really nuanced, really complex, and really good. So lastly, before spoilers, it's hard to get overexcited about this one, but it does the job perfectly if you're after a kind of dark coming-of-age story with a bit of a supernatural edge. And let's face it, there are plenty worse King adaptations out there. Okay, from this point onwards, I'm going to be talking about things that happen in the film, which might spoil a first-time watch for you. So if you want to dodge these last few reasons, just find the timestamp to the outro, and I will see you at the end. Otherwise, stick around, because I've got a few more reasons for you to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone coming right up. So this is the point where I try and pick out some of my favourite scenes. It's kind of tough for this film, because this film sort of fades from the memory very quickly. However, I will say that all of the scenes with Donald Sutherland and Jaeden Martell together, they were really good. It felt like there was a real chemistry between those two actors. Now, the scene where Mr. Harrigan plays with his new iPhone for all of 2 minutes and then just perfectly predicts the next 10 years of the internet. Yeah, bit too much. No thanks.
It knows what I want and what's going to happen when they close the water main. No more freebies. Oh, and false information becomes common and accepted as true. And what happens when they start using this to spread more nonsense than is already out there? Newspapers, journals, politicians, all of us need to be very frightened by this gizmo.
Now, the shot of Craig listening down into Mr. Harrigan's grave that was used in all the marketing, that one is pretty effective. However, my favourite moment was probably the part where Craig receives a phone call from beyond the grave, or at least his phone starts ringing from someone beyond the grave. Yeah, scary stuff. My favourite line, definitely influenced by the fact that Donald Sutherland died not long after this came out, but where Mr. Harrigan is talking about the gift of death. Yeah, that felt quite affecting.
The gift of death. To never more feel pain or fret or worry.
So in terms of Easter eggs and connections to other King stuff, so obviously Jaeden Martell was in the 2 It movies, Donald Sutherland was in the 2004 miniseries of Salem's Lot, and Jason Blum / Blumhouse have previously done Mercy and the 2022 version of Firestarter. As for Easter eggs, I didn't really spot any, apart from a couple of town names, but was that just me? Was I missing something? Let me know in the comments. Finally, to stress the point again, this one's fine. And I don't think I have anything else to add to it. Okay, there we go. 19 reasons to watch Mr. Harrigan's Phone. Have you watched this one? What did you think? all of those kind of things. Get involved in the comments. Let me know if you're a fan of this one. And have you read the novella? And have you read the novella as well? Pretty good one in a pretty good collection, If It Bleeds. I've got 19 reasons to read If It Bleeds on this channel if you want to go and check that out. So if you've made it this far, I'm going to throw a couple of plugs at you. Everything I want to plug is linked below, but those things are my collection of short stories, Once More Around the Sun, my Stephen King trivia book, my range of Stephen King themed band shirts, and the fact that you can become a member of this channel, you can become a constant viewer, support me directly, get extra content, and loads of other fun stuff. All of those links are below. If none of those work for you, no problem. Just watching this video makes a huge difference. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and maybe tell a friend so that they can get involved too. And I will see you again very soon. Take care.